Kofi stood frozen in the hospital corridor, his breath catching in his throat. He waited as the doctors frantically worked on his daughter, Oma. In a bustling town in Africa, there lived a hardworking minibus driver named Kofi. Kofi drove his minibus from dawn till dusk, weaving through the busy streets, picking up passengers, and always with a kind word for everyone. His hands were calloused from years of gripping the steering wheel, and his eyes bore the weariness of a man fighting a relentless battle. His fight was for his daughter, Oma, who lay sick at home with an illness that drained both her strength and their meager savings. Oma's mother, Ajoa, stayed home to care for her. She spent her days by Oma's bedside, cooling her feverish brow and reading her stories to lift her spirits. In the quiet moments when Oma slept, Ajoa's tears flowed freely, her heart heavy with worry. Yet, in the evenings, when Kofi returned home, their small home filled with love and hope. They would sit together, Kofi comforting Ajoa, assuring her that he would find a way to save their daughter. One weary evening, as Kofi swept his minibus for the day, he found a bag hidden beneath a seat. Inside, bundles of cash peeked out. His heart raced. This money could change everything. He rushed home and showed Ajoa. Her eyes widened with hope and relief. "God has answered our prayers," she said, embracing him. But Kofi hesitated. He had the number of the passenger who had left the bag. "We can't keep it," he said. Ajoa's face fell, and they argued into the night. But by morning, Ajoa had softened, telling Oma she would soon be well. That evening, she whispered to Kofi, "I know you're a good man with principles, but we need to save our daughter." With a heavy heart, Kofi agreed. Sleep eluded Kofi that night. He tossed and turned, his conscience gnawing at him. Before dawn, he made his decision. He took the money and drove to the contact's address. Parking his minibus by the roadside, he waited, contemplating his choice. When the owner arrived, a wealthy-looking man, Kofi returned the bag. The man was astonished and grateful, taking Kofi's number and promising to keep in touch. They parted ways, Kofi thinking nothing of it. Back at home, Ajoa found Oma with a high fever. She hurriedly prepared to go to the hospital, only to discover the money missing. Frantic, she called Kofi, but he didn't answer. Despairing, she sat outside in her nightdress, crying. She went back inside to tend to Oma. Kofi returned home to find her tear-streaked and exhausted. Kofi sought help from his best friend, who, like Ajoa, was angry that he had returned the money. "Sell your minibus," his friend suggested. Kofi refused. "I need it to feed my family." Months passed, and Kofi continued working tirelessly. One morning, Oma's condition worsened. They rushed her to the hospital, where doctors said she needed urgent surgery and at least half the cost had to be paid before they could perform the surgery. Desperate, Kofi sold his minibus, barely scraping together enough for half the surgery cost. Ajoa borrowed money from her mother. At the hospital, as Ajoa begged the nurses to start treatment, Kofi rushed in with the money. They were too late. Oma's condition had taken a turn for the worse, and despite the doctor's efforts, she passed away. The couple was shattered. They wept over their lost daughter, the money slipping from their hands to the floor. Back home, their grief deepened. Ajoa blamed Kofi, her mother fueling her anger. "You killed our child," she screamed. "Why did you return the money?" Kofi, broken, could only apologize through his tears. Their lives unraveled. Kofi took work as a day laborer, his once strong hands now trembling with grief. Ajoa, inconsolable, cried constantly. The mother-in-law's words were harsh, urging divorce. But Kofi held on, working hard, hoping for a miracle. One day, Kofi received a call from the man whose money he had returned. They met, Kofi in his dusty work clothes. The man offered his condolences, having seen Kofi at the hospital. Touched by Kofi's honesty and diligence, he offered him a job as his personal driver. Kofi accepted, his heart heavy but hopeful. Kofi's new job brought stability. Impressed by Kofi's work ethic, the benefactor offered to pay for his education. Kofi studied part-time, earning an accounting accreditation. His hard work paid off, and he steadily rose within the company. Life improved, but the shadow of their loss lingered. Slowly, Adjoa and Kofi began to heal. They reconciled, their love rekindling. The mother-in-law, seeing the positive change, apologized. Kofi and Adjoa welcomed 2 more children into their lives, their home filled with laughter once more. Despite the hardships, they found happiness again, living peacefully, forever cherishing the memory of their beloved Oma. The moral of this story is about the importance of integrity, honesty, and perseverance, even in the face of immense personal hardship. It emphasizes that doing the right thing, even when it seems counterproductive or painful, can lead to unforeseen positive outcomes and personal growth. Despite facing severe financial difficulties and the desperate need to save his daughter, Kofi chooses to return the bag of money he found, demonstrating his unwavering moral principles. Although this decision results in immediate hardship and the tragic loss of his daughter, it eventually leads to new opportunities and a better future for his family. The story highlights that maintaining one's integrity can ultimately bring about respect, trust, and support from others, leading to long-term benefits that might not be immediately apparent.